right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is John,
And I'm Jack.
and that sounded very strained.
I was
Um,
stretching.
oh, good for you. This week we are reviewing the classic John Wayne film Sands of Iwo Jima. Some of you might have noticed that this is not the film that we promised you last week. Unfortunately, our guests from the Civil Weird podcast had some personal issues come up, so we're going to have to reschedule with them. But in the meantime, we're flip flopping one John Wayne movie for another. So that's why you get this one, this gem of a film. So, Jack, as always, what'd you think?
Man, The Beaches of Terror was a great movie.
Yeah, at least a third of this movie was the Battle of Tarawa.
I had to
Tarawa,
make I
Tarawa.
had to make sure I wasn't watching the wrong movie at one point.
Well, that's where they become battle hardened.
Yeah, of course. Pilgrim.
Pilgrim, which is hilarious because it's all when you watch this movie. I don't know if you noticed it, but when they land on the beach, there's this pillbox that's kind of like on a hill, and um, to me, it reminded me almost like a shot for shot remake, like Wind Talkers ripped off this film. Like, you know, when Nicolas Cage goes and like tosses the like satchel charge into the bunker.
Yeah,
Yeah, same thing here. It's just John Wayne instead.
it's a
All it
common
proves
theme.
is you just have to be a PTSD grizzled sergeant in order to properly blow up a bunker.
Yep, that's all you
You also
need.
have to wait for two or three people who I presume are wearing red shirts. This is a black and white film, so you have to wait for them to die first before the sergeant has to be like, "I'll do it."
Yep, it comes with the sacrifice of no less than two homies.
Right. I found his charge up the side of that bunker kind of hilarious because they like zoom in on the Japanese soldiers in that bunker, and you can see that they're like shooting the machine gun at him, and then like you see him running up the side of this hill to get to the bunker, and right as he's running up the hill, they like immediately point to the other direction like they got distracted by something, and it's like, really, guys, really, this is your explanation for why he made it up there? Like,
That dickhead with the coffee.
oh my god, that was quite something. I also love that John Wayne, like, after the fact, he's like, you got one of my men killed, and he just like punches him in the face. It's like, really, this is all the punishment you get?
But I wanted coffee. And yeah, and then
So
he plays the whole empathy card afterwards. Like, I know it was a mistake. You're forgiven.
yeah, the hatred to forgiveness arc in this movie is really quite
Something.
something. Yeah. I remember I never really understood that scene because I've seen this movie quite a few times. Um it was one of my grandfather's favorites. So I I grew up watching this film a lot, and I the first VHS tape I ever had was actually Sands of Iwo Jima.
Really,
Yeah.
Grandpa?
It's
What's a VHS? I'm joking.
shut up. Shut up. You're the VHS generation too.
Oh yeah. But can I take one brief second to mention now that we're on the topic of VHSs? So, to all five of our listeners out there, one of my fondest VHSs that I owned. I don't even think it had a name, but it was literally just a VHS of old school monster movie trailers. And that
Oh,
shit was my
I thought you were going to tell me it was like scrambled porn or something.
no, that was something else. But yeah, it was just this VHS of all these trailers for monster movies. and I can't for the life of me find it or remember what happened to it. And if any five of our listeners know what I'm talking about, please feel free to message the official Armchair Commanders podcast and say, hey, this is it, preferably with a link, an
Right.
Amazon link, if I may specify, or, anywhere. I just want to know after all these years. I haven't seen it in nearly 20 years, but my God, yeah, I played the shit out of that on a little VHS tiny TV. But yeah, anyway, you were saying.
Oh, so when I saw the scene, it never made sense to me the first half dozen times that I watched it because I was like, one, you're a kid and you don't appreciate
No,
a good cup of coffee.
I still
So
don't.
that's one aspect of it. I I only became a coffee drinker myself within the last like 2 years, and I went off like the deep end. Like I went from I went from being not a coffee drinker to like drinking a pot of black coffee a day. So yeah, that I take great care of my body, as you can tell. Um, but so there's that aspect to it. But also, I was like, what's wrong with just like I truly didn't get the amenity aspect of it because he's like, I haven't had a cup of coffee since we left the ship. And it wasn't until I was in about high school that I read this book. I forget the title of it, but it was by it was like a lieutenant or a captain who had served on Iwo Jima. And in this book is the only time I've ever seen it been referenced before. But for this battle, they had to like ship in water for it because there's not fresh water. If I remember correctly, there's not fresh water on Iwo Jima. Um, so literally, these cargo ships were carrying like pallets upon pallets of like pre-filled canteens, and they would just like swap them out. And because World War II metal canteens don't have the same like air tightness that like a plastic water bottle does. Uh, by the time these water bottles would get to Iwo Jima, um, and granted, this scene happened in the Battle of Tarawa, but I digress. Uh, Basically, they'd be like, you ever left a glass of water out on your nightstand for a couple of days?
Yes,
Okay, after it's sat on your nightstand for a couple of days, it kind of tastes like ass.
kinda.
Yeah,
Tastes like
same principle.
rancid ass. Sometimes it
Same
even grows a culture.
same principle. And in this book, this guy who fought in Iwo Jima talked about how what he used to do to like make the water palatable was put like hard candies into it.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I read that book that this scene clicked for me where I was like, oh, he's stoked on coffee because he's been drinking like ass water for a couple of days, you know?
Yeah, I guess I'd be stoked too. And I'm not even a coffee drinker. That play I was in recently, the author of it gave me a gift of a bag of coffee that's flavored like blueberry cobbler. And I wasn't an asshole. I just accepted it. But I don't really like coffee. So instead, I regifted it to my mom, who straight up told me, oh, I'm not going to drink this. I'm just going to donate this. So thanks. Blueberry cobbler, though, is a top tier flavor, though. If I was a coffee drinker, I'd just down that. But no,
So
I never got into coffee. It just makes me feel nauseous.
I I like drinking enough coffee to the point that I get like liquid poops. So
Yeah, forget it's a laxative.
yeah, one of my favorite. So I have two brands that I really like. One is local, but I just treat it's like a treat coffee for me. because it's kind of expensive. But it's called Whiskey Barrel Coffee, and basically the beans are roasted using wood that used to be whiskey barrels,
I see.
which is quite tasty. The other one is there's a place out in Oregon. They're not our sponsors.
But they
Uh,
could be.
they could be. Uh, and actually, little sneak preview. I've actually been talking to the owner of this particular coffee brand, and he's interested in coming on to review something with us. So, for the folks at home, check out Committee Coffee out of Oregon. It's a great brand. I have several bags of it in my cupboard. They're not our sponsor, but I
They
believe in the
could be.
product. They could be, and I believe in the products. So, or at least I think they're out of Oregon.
Yeah. So I think I'll take time to mention that this is canonically Cotton Hill of King of the Hill's favorite movie, Sands of Iwo Jima.
Is it?
I don't remember the episode, but I think it was Hank that mentions that this was his favorite movie and that he would always drive around Texas to try to find showings of it.
Hmm. I just remember him being like, he always used to whip up a batch of mustard gas for VJ Day.
Dad, you know so much about hippies and how they're dealt with. Yeah, my dad used to bring a cooler and lawn chairs to watch the riots.
I killed Fitty Man.
Hank,
Or
Bobby, Hank's wife,
that was in my way.
sissy shed. And
Pancakes, eggs, bacon, sausage,
black.
waffles. Where are my waffles?
Bacon, toast, both black. You got 5 minutes.
We called it jungle rice. Tasted fine. Do you think
Yeah, so-
Stryker would be Cotton Hill if he had survived the war?
Yes, not a doubt in my mind.
Which also, what do you think? This is one of I think it's only like 5 or 6 films in all of John Wayne's career where he actually dies, and this is one of them. So what a treat!
Wait, how many does he die in?
It's a very limited amount, like 5 or 6 films. I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's single digits.
Man, I feel honored.
It was.
And that one dude putting on his man pants afterwards, like, all right, we're not out of the war yet.
Saddle up. I love just the sheer amount of like over the top, like it's like I feel better than fine. I feel on top of the world. He just clutches his chest and falls over. Thanks, Captain Foreshadowing.
Just no subtlety. And that one dude that was like, oh yeah, this is a picture of my wife that I have back home, and this is a picture of our new son. This is
Iowa, the state nobody cares about.
This is a drawing of a bullseye I have on my head. Like I was just sitting there like, you dumb motherfucker.
For our Iowa peeps, I would like to state that I lived there for a bit, so don't at me. It's a terrible state, and you know it.
Ow. Our good buddy John is a recovering Iowegian.
Iowan.
No, it's Iowegian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Back down.
I've got no dog in this fight. I consider myself a South Dakotan after I graduated.
You Coloradite.
I refuse to be a Coloradan.
Huh. I thought you were quite proud of your new mantle, Colorado.
No, I just work here, dude.
Bro, I just work here.
That's like saying to McDonald's employees proud to work at McDonald's. No, they do it for the paycheck,
And only then begrudgingly.
right? If the government wasn't paying me to be here, I wouldn't.
Man, yeah, I guess I was really surprised by how little Iwo Jima is actually in this movie. Don't get me wrong, the
Yeah,
Battle of Terra was cool and all.
right. But for a film called The Sands of Iwo Jima, it's not actually that prominent part that prominent of a part of the story. And especially given the fact that the number of scenes that we actually have with our main characters on Iwo Jima are even fewer because this film relies so heavily on wartime footage. Because this film was produced in a time where like modern Hollywood filming technology was only a few steps above like other camera technologies available. So like they could get away with just taking wartime footage clips and inserting it, which I appreciated to a degree because you can't be like, oh, this isn't realistic because it's actual combat footage. But also, there's points where you're just like, okay, this seems like time filler, if anything.
Yeah, got to pad out the run length. Got to go for authenticity.
Right. It was kind of cool. There's a little fun fact that during the Tarawa battle scenes, there's a short little clip of some American soldiers firing their weapons, and you see Japanese soldiers running across this field. And I don't remember what battle that particular clip actually came from, but that was the first time that enemy infantry were caught on film as the same time as American troops. So it's the first time there's film where you have both American troops as well as Axis enemies ever filmed together. Yeah,
Interesting.
just a little tidbit. But which I love the use of the vehicles in this movie because you could see that at the very beginning, the movie's like, thank you for the Marine Corps for all their support in making this film. And you see them have all these awesome, tanks and amphibious carriers. And you're like, man, this is pretty dope. Because you wouldn't really see something that good until, the Pacific miniseries again. Um, but I was like, okay, we're using how much like original Battlefield footage? Because I'm sure that was like a cost saving measure, but it's like we're using how much of this footage, and then we cut over to one of our primary characters standing behind a Sherman tank, and then it turns out it's a flamethrower Sherman tank, and it's like, how much money did they spend on this piece of shit? Like is
I
this?
could I couldn't find a rocket launcher, sir.
No, but I thought that was terrific. I thought the
Oh yeah,
flamethrower
it was
tank
amazing.
was an awesome scene. It made me think of the. We also had a great like just regular flamethrower operator scene in this movie also. And I don't know why Hollywood deems it necessary to always kill the flamethrower guy, but happened again.
They have a dangerous job.
I just thought it would have been cool if like they had done like a side tangent. We talked a few episodes ago during the longest day with one of our guests, Blake, who's part of the airborne demonstration team. Um, at the Battle of Iwo Jima, there was one Medal of Honor recipient. Uh, was it Herschel Williams? Woody Herschel Williams? I got to Google this. Herschel Woody Williams. Just got the order wrong. But he was a flamethrower operator, and he got a Medal of Honor, or he received a Medal of Honor because he took out like a dozen pillboxes by himself. Like he would get a flamethrower, go up, destroy a pillbox, run back to the beach, grab a new flamethrower, and just kept doing that throughout the entire day. And I think that would have been a cool, like, I think that would have been a cool cameo. In fact, I think it would have been cool if they got the actual uh, Mr. Williams to come do it, because he was the oldest living Medal of Honor recipient from World War II until he passed last year, I think.
Something like that. It was extremely recent.
They
Piece of
could
history
have,
died with him.
because if I'm not mistaken, they had quite a few
Oh yes,
actual
no,
Iwo Jima vets as extras in this film.
I was about to bring that up. Let's see. Um, a number of actual military personnel portrayed themselves. These included retired Lieutenant General Holland Smith, who was the 5th Amphibious Corps commander and who also acted as a technical advisor. Colonel David M. Shoup, United States Marine Corps, God damn it, who received the Medal of Honor. Captain Harold G. Schreier, United States Marine Corps, who commanded the Marines on the Suribachi slopes. Lieutenant Colonel H.P. Crow, United States Marine Corps, again, who was a battalion commander on Tarawa. He was the man with the waxed mustache. And Private First Class Renee A. Gagnon, whatever. Private First Class Ira H. Hayes. And something I don't know, John H. Bradley.
So wait, they got, even though Ira Hayes was still alive at this time, they found somebody else to play him in this movie.
No, he was in this movie.
Oh, Ira Hayes actually was in this movie.
Yes, he's in the list of people that were actual military personnel that betrayed themselves.
Huh. That's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, and this is a couple years before he died.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. He lived a very, like, troubled life after the war.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
had a
sad.
super derogatory Johnny Cash song named after him.
Yeah. People just don't understand, man, what he went through and what he saw.
Dare I sing it?
No, you mayn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those at home, if you're looking, there's a song about one of the
Ballad
flag
of Ira
raisers.
Hayes.
Yeah, Ballad of Ira Hayes. It's about, he was a flag raiser at Iwo Jima, and it's not really culturally sensitive, if you will. But then again, neither is his film.
Yeah.
I was like obviously we've touched on this. Like John Wayne was hardly a like closet racist by any means.
Oh, he was
It's just,
raging.
oh yeah, it's just I find it interesting how he takes his opportunities to say shit in films. I learned a new slur in this film that I had
Oh,
previously.
Jesus.
Yes, and I'm saying this purely for educational purposes. Don't at me.
Oh,
But in
no.
this film, John Wayne refers to Japanese soldiers as lemon heads.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that was I was
Oh my
I
god.
was I almost spit my drink out. I was like, "What the fuck, John Wayne?"
Did you have to ask Papa Jerry what that meant?
No, no, I didn't. I
Man.
wasn't. I wasn't going to ask. I went yesterday with Papa Jerry to an Air Force game, and because the Air Force Academy is about an hour south of where I live, and so I went with him and one of his friends from the service, who was basically like an uncle to me, and so we had a great time. Air Force did a great job. They crushed like 50-10 or something like that. Very entertaining game, but we show up to the game and uh, I'm expecting us just to talk about the game or just random guy stuff. And these two guys, they were in the same squadron together, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you remember that one time we were taking tracer fire over Panama? I'm like, what the fuck, Dad?
Old Papa Jer.
So yeah, he was already taking a trip down memory lane, and I wasn't going to exacerbate that.
Also, the 21st, motherfucker.
Ah, yes.
That's when the Navy's taking on you fly boys.
I'm curious if this episode will even be out by that point.
Yeah. Mark my words, somehow a 1-3 team will beat you guys.
Oh yeah, you're going to beat the 4-0 Air Force?
Somehow, yeah. When has my trash talk ever come out false? Except the times that it did.
I don't know, the other night when you were giving me shit when I was at the Rockies game.
Hey, we won that game.
I know you did. I was there.
I mean, you beat us today, but that's besides the point.
You know what? The only thing that matters is that you beat us on the fireworks night.
Nah.
That's like the night that all the players bring their families in and they like set up lawn chairs out on the baseball diamond to watch the fireworks. It's like, way to lose in front of your girlfriends, guys. Do you want to place a bet on Air Force Navy?
I do. I thought you'd never ask.
We should put up a little poll on our Instagram to see who's rooting for who.
And they're going to be Navy because our dear listeners are smart and intelligent and beautiful people.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
I think, so you're going with Navy, obviously.
Clearly, yes.
And I'm going with Air Force.
Uh-huh. You want to involve mentions to that goddamn Army fanboy?
I don't know how we would do that. Maybe deciding who gets the like the Armed Services Trophy or something. But how about winner gets to choose 3 movies in a row?
Deal.
Alrighty.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask for money.
No, I wouldn't ask somebody that's unemployed. Boom! Kidney shot.
Underemployed. But anyway. Hey, actually, the proper term is fun employed.
God, it's so like depressed. We're renaming homeless people to unhoused.
Jesus.
I saw a comedian recently. He's like, your homeless population is kind of spicy, or I mean the unhoused population. He's like, they look so hip with their Patagonia jackets that they stole, but they'll still put their penis on all the street crossing buttons.
Hip and wit it.
Whip it good. Okay, so I love that when you watch this movie, I don't know if you caught it as much as I did, but there were so many things in this film that I'm like, how many other films ripped off moments or scenes from this? Because we already talked.
No. The director term is inspired by.
Okay.
Or took inspiration from. Come on, it's like you've never seen a movie before.
Right, of course. So we already talked about the Nicolas Cage Windtalkers, satchel charging a bunker. But there was a moment where they're doing their training montage because you're gonna need a montage.
Of course, montage. Even Rocky had a montage.
And so it's right after the montage, and they're doing like the bayonet course, and John Wayne walks up to this guy who's fucking up the bayonet course, and he's like, come at me. And he's like, without a sheath? And he's like, it won't matter. And he just like butt strokes him in the face.
Jesus.
And he's like, and his response is like the dude falls to the ground just writhing in pain. And then he just yells out, Gorman! And I'm like, holy shit, that's a Starship Troopers moment right there. Put your hand on that wall!
You cannot press a button when his hand is incapacitated.
Medic! I think there's a moment like that in the movie Glory, too, where the sergeant just like beats the shit out of one of the soldiers who doesn't get bayonet drills really all that well. But we haven't reviewed that film, so
Yet.
I'll see
I'll
if
pick it when I win the bet.
okay. I was gonna say I should see if John from the Tattooed Historian wants to do that film with us sometime. Because he said that was like his second favorite Civil War film. Or was it his first? I don't know. I'll have to ask him. So, what was your favorite aspect of this film?
Well, I liked how seemingly accurate it was. Again, I'm just an armchair commander, not a diehard historian. But it seems like they really knew what they were doing casting these people, being as a lot of them were actual corpsmen back in the day.
Yeah. They also they casted a lot of guys who look super young too, which I appreciated. Minus John Wayne, obviously, but who is your favorite character in this?
See, I want to say Stryker, but he's kind of an asshole.
That's the point of his character, though.
Yeah, I guess. Who is that guy that took up the mantle after he got or after Stryker got unceremoniously ganked?
Oh, let me look it up.
I'm sorry, I had trouble memorizing people's names in this.
I had the same issue.
I remember
Tom,
Helenopolis, the Greek that died because that jackass wanted coffee.
where were you?
Ooh. I do like senior soil researcher John Dickhead when he was just pinned down on the beach.
Why
And
would
he
we
was
fight for this sandy place? It's so sandy.
nothing will grow here. Bang.
Man,
Like,
it's
I get that he's under extreme duress and people do weird shit mentally then, but come on, man, you're in an active war zone.
man, he's 50 years too early. Otherwise, he would have been perfectly cast for Anakin Skywalker.
Oh yeah, I didn't know Hayden Christensen was originally supposed to play him, but he wasn't born yet.
So the character you were thinking of is PFC Al Thomas. The one I love how he bitches about him like at the very beginning of the movie, or he bitches about Stryker in the movie. And there's someone else that just like calls him out and he's like, tell him why you didn't get promoted. And it's like, that's not important. Uh, I I liked Stryker's little toady, like the guy who was like team him. He's like, do you want to maybe not go out drinking tonight? And he's and John Wayne's like, he'll be fine. 3 minutes later, he's falling over.
Just trashed. I like how his homies came through for him though. Like, yeah, this guy's a dickhead, but the MPs are coming, so let's just act like we're having a nice little get together among friends.
Right.
Man.
I think that whole sequence and the sequences of them interacting, like being on shore leave, I thought was very interesting. Um, especially with like the character of the fuck was his name? Conway. That's right. Uh, he's like being like a shitbox at this dance, and like a girl walks up to him. He's like, "Can I interest you in a dance?" He's like, "What does he say?" He's like, "Breeze away" or something. Just something very 1940s, like "fuck off."
Yeah.
And then he like glances up. He's like, oh, "She's beautiful," and like just instantaneously falls in love. And they dance two songs together, and then it's like, "Let's get married." And
It all happens just so fast.
but it seems comical to us, and it seems very Hollywood, and especially 1940s Hollywood. But I think it hits on kind of an interesting phenomenon during this war, which is a lot of kind of really quick spur of the moment weddings, because you have an entire
Fucking
generate yeah, you have an entire generation of 18, 19, 20-year old guys who are, going to go off in the biggest war in human history, and they don't know what their fate's going to be. So it really makes kind of sense, like you said, fuck it, like makes perfect sense. You found a pretty girl that you can dance with, and that's all the more you need. And then you come back and develop PTSD and beat your kids, and hit your wife for burning the pot roast after the war.
romance.
I know, it's a perfect Romeo Juliet story if I ever heard it. But I appreciate when war films do hit aspects of the home front. Um, One scene that was kind of powerful for me um, was the scene where John Wayne goes home with like, they never outright say it, but she's a prostitute. Um, and he, like, I find it weird that John Wayne's character kind of plays it off as like they get back to her place and she's like, "Oh no, I don't have enough money to go buy another bottle of whiskey." And he's like, "Oh, I see. Would $10 help with that?" And she's like, "Why, yes it would. I'll be right back." like um which, so I found it interesting from the first aspect that a Hollywood film in the 50s is acknowledging prostitution. It's also acknowledging it, if I'm not mistaken, this is still Hays Code time frame. I might be wrong, but we might be on the
Sounds about
tail.
right.
I think we're still on the tail end of Hays Code, so even alluding to it is kind of surprising to me. But also just socially, where that would be. I mean, even today, it's still a very stigmatized profession. So trying to imagine 1950s a 1950s audience going to the movies and seeing John Wayne go home with a hooker. Like, I'm just trying to imagine. I'm just trying to imagine what
Yeah,
the.
can you imagine?
Well, I know that
Sorry.
shit probably happened in real life, but like, think about it. Like 1950s, like button down, tucked in shirt population, be like, "I'm going to go see a war movie." John Wayne's with a hooker. Um, but it reminded me of, I read a book. It was a memoir of a guy who he spent pretty much the entirety of his war experience in Pearl Harbor. He was a Navy salvage diver, and so the entire war, all he did was work on the sunken battleships that were in Pearl Harbor, because it took like over a decade for them to get that place cleaned up. um
Really? I thought there was still wreckage around that they just never bothered or couldn't clean up.
well, there's two ships that are still sunk in Pearl Harbor, the Arizona and then the Utah, I think. But every other ship they got cleared out of there. Because the Arizona was just so mangled up that there was no way that they could refloat her. But in this guy's book, he talked about like, Oh yeah, I'd get like a weekend pass and go to downtown Honolulu, and there was a red light district, and at a brothel there would be a literal line of like 100 guys, and like when you finally walked in through the door, you'd pay your money, and they'd be like, "Okay, you have 2 minutes on the stopwatch," and it's like, "What, Jesus?" But that's the side of war that I think oftentimes gets overlooked. But I think it's a very powerful character, when she's like, there are worse things than, having to go fight a war, which alludes to the fact that, her basically this character, we get her only for like a couple of minutes, but we find out her husband's dead. She has a kid that she's struggling to feed, and basically her only way of making ends meet is by going into town every night and bringing some soldier home and trying to, you know, selling her body for a part of their paycheck. And I think that's it's a heavy moment for an America fuck yeah type of film.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of that scene. It just drug too long. And
Oh yeah, I mean,
I was just thinking to myself, don't you guys have another island to capture? Like
see, I agree. It did went
maybe
on.
one called Iwo Jima.
Right. I will agree. The scene did drag a little bit, especially with John Wayne playing the moral high ground of like, I ain't going to sleep with no prostitute with a child. You take care of the child. Here's $20. Like,
Pilgrim.
shut up, Pilgrim. As much as I mock John Wayne, I am a fan of his films. I do enjoy him as an actor. He's just,
Shit
he's
person.
he's very much a product of his times.
Yeah, he really didn't like natives.
No, no, he didn't. Maybe that's why he starred in so many westerns. I get to pretend to kill them.
Yeah. Whew, boy. A lot to unpack. A lot to unpack. What was I going to bring up? Yeah, like getting back to the whole Hays Code thing. This kind of does seem like a Hays Cody movie with not a lot of blood when they get shot, stabbed, or blown up. They just do that 40s
The like
flop.
the 40s flop, or they'll like clutch their chest and be like, ugh.
Which again, I'm not fully expecting gore.
No, but can we at least get like a ketchup packet?
Yeah.
Now, did you watch this in black and white or color?
Black and white.
That's the way to do it.
It's the only option I had.
Yeah, Amazon only had the black and white. So the VHS tape that I got from my grandfather was actually a colorized remaster of it from like the 80s or 90s. So I've had the pleasure of viewing it in both. And I don't know, the black and white version just seems more crisp, if you will.
Yeah.
Something about the colorization of those films kind of doles it out a bit.
Yeah. John Wayne himself didn't like colors. Sorry. I just had to.
I thought you were going to say colored.
No. You still got the joke I was going for though, didn't you?
Oh, I definitely got it.
It's funny because he was racist.
He died of cancer.
Suspected from a bomb test that he was filming nearby. Or maybe it was the 3 packs a day smoking or the binge drinking, but
Or the steak dinner every night.
one of them. Or a combination thereof.
Man, there's some.
Regardless, he wasn't built to last forever.
No, I'm surprised he made it as far as he did. Um, that being said, he's still, for as problematic as he was as an individual, like we got to give him props in the fact that he did. He is a very unique actor. Like he is very much, you know, he is his own genre of film, and I think that's impressive to accomplish something like that.
Yeah, the Duke.
The Duke. I love when you go to
Pilgrim.
Walmart. There's always like four or five like Ultimate John Wayne collection box set, and it's just different because he was in like 150 some films, and they just put on a DVD like six popular films, and it's just like a different rotation of this of like a dozen films. Like it's always like the shootist, Big Jake, stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of westerns and World War II movies.
I was going to say John Wayne's service record from World War II is astounding because we've already seen him command a squadron of flying tigers. Now he's fought on Iwo Jima. The film we're going to watch, well, that's Civil War, never mind. But he's like a Navy admiral in another film. It's just kind of all over the place.
He was everywhere.
He was a commander of the airborne troops in Normandy. Like, how did he have so much time? Where did he find the time?
Man, yeah, he was everywhere during World War II. I'm surprised.
Realistically speaking, John Wayne is Cotton Hill. Because if you think about Cotton Hill's storyline, he's like, I've been a Nazi's windpipe in half at Anzio.
I snuck into a Japanese supply line on Okinawa and I hibachied the whole squad with their sake. Yeah.
A
he's
Tojo balloon bomb took out our ship.
he's Cotton Hill, except A, he never actually served, and B, he still had his shins when he died.
What did you think about that? Like them immediately pulling the letter out of his pocket and starting to read it out loud.
A kind of an invasion of privacy, not gonna lie.
Well, I love the
And
fact
we
they're
didn't
like,
learn yet a kid.
I probably should not read this. Continues to read it. I'll
Yeah, like,
finish it. I knew him best of all. Shut up.
you dick. You just wanted an excuse to read his private mail, which I was going to bring out. That's the equivalent of reading out your buddy's browser history the second he dies. Like, his body's still fucking warm, and you're reading out this to everybody. And yeah, it was here we learned that he had a wife and kid.
Oh, we
We
learned it earlier.
when
Um, that was like scene one, dude.
you
He's
think I
like, there's
remember
a
that?
yeah. I expect it. It's the reason he drinks.
You know I don't watch movies.
Oh, shut
I'm
the fuck
kidding.
up.
Joking. But yeah, I clearly don't remember that. But it was in that case, it was a callback to scene one. And, and yeah, just that other montage of them not walking up but walking to Mount Suribachi, where every now and again a Japanese soldier would pop out of a bush or behind a rock or something, stab
Okay.
one of them, and then get shot himself.
Right. It's like
And then
It's like
save
1950s jump scare.
yeah, and that one that bum rushes Striker with the katana, and that other dude just hawks a fucking shovel at him, and it works.
Oh boy. I'm curious if the flamethrower tank is the reason the music budget on this was so low. But my God, I I get it. This is supposed to be, this is done with the support of the Marine Corps. It's supposed to be very pro America, pro Marine Corps. America Fuck Yeah type film. It's about one of the most, famous events in Marine Corps history. But can we not have the Marine Corps hymn as 2/3 of our music selection?
What else would you need?
I I don't know. I'm just it's like training sequence. Marine Corps hymn. Fast pace, upbeat. Fuck yeah.
To
They're
the
about to,
shores of Tripoli.
we're about to land on Iwo Jima, like a very slow, sad version of the Marine Corps hymn. Like we're going to show apprehension through this song. Just imagine like John Wayne plowing some hooker to it. To the shores
Yes.
of Tripoli.
Holy.
Here's a
Oh,
silver dollar.
so John Wayne is who you're named after, right?
Shut up.
Oh, right. Your name is spelled wrong without the H.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You.
I'm joking. Your way is clearly the right way. It's more efficient that way.
It is more efficient. I don't have to waste my time using the letter H. You know what makes me mad is when I see somebody with the name Jonathan with two H's.
Yeah, I imagine.
JOHNTHAN. Like, why?
It's just redundant, is what it is.
Fail proof is what you mean. Oh, boy. So, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Vita Ice, whatever that is.
What is a Vita Ice?
I don't know, but it's orange mango flavored. Vitamin fused, naturally flavored sparkling water, zero sugar, vitamins, and antioxidants.
Sounds yummy.
It's not bad. How about
I
you?
uh, I almost chose just doing like a straight glass of scotch or something
Ow.
because that was Striker's go-to drink, but I was like, I don't have
I
the
gotta
mental
work
fortitude.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have the mental fortitude for that at the current moment. So I'm doing my good old classic of Sailor Jerry's rum and
Hell
Coke
yeah.
with a wedge of lime. Sailor Jerry's, they're not our sponsor. They probably shouldn't be.
But they could be.
They could be. Sailor Jerry, I love your product. Like legitimately, I have so much of your branded shit in my man cave. Uh, so yeah, I I'm giving you free ad time right now, but I expect a phone call here in the future.
Damn right.
Man, I would shit my pants if Sailor Jerry actually sent me a message.
So yeah, is it time?
Yeah, I think it's time to rate this film.
Iwo Hima, as Peggy Hill would say.
Iwo Hima.
Iwo Hima. Yeah, it makes me cringe too.
Admittedly, a great episode though.
Oh, very great. Just she was particularly infuriating, even more so than usual.
What do you think our custom rating should be?
What was he? What? Let me fucking. I say either wink, wink, nudge, nudge hookers, or bourbon glasses. Well, if you got a
Wink.
better idea, let's hear it.
I didn't. I did have a better idea. So we'll let's do wink
Also,
wink.
I gotta admit, I didn't catch that the first time. I thought it was just particularly egregious 40s flirting, but it goes to show how daft I am, I guess.
Nah.
Would you like to pay me to have sex with you? What did she mean by that, John? I don't get it.
Maybe it's because
You
he
you
called
can
the
do that?
Maybe it's because he called the $10 bill a sawbuck. Maybe that's why you missed it.
Son of a bitch! I've been buying them dinner this whole time. Anyways, I give this 4 wink nudge nudges out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, my biggest gripe with it is that I didn't feel we spent enough time on Iwo Jima.
No,
Don't get
that's
me wrong,
that's.
Terra was cool and shit, but
Oh yeah. I think I think I'll do 4 wink nudge nudges, and then one name tag on the America map board at the bar.
oh yeah, that I was checking, and there was like 2 in Sioux Falls and 3 in Rapid City, but none in Pierre.
I'm from Tennessee, and these are all my cousins on my dad's side, and these are my cousins on my mom's side.
My
We
town's
produce
the
the.
#1 fertilizer producer in America. I wanted to beat the shit out of him.
So yeah, 4 wink nudge nudges and one name tag.
Yep. All right. Is that what you give it?
Yeah.
Let us see the Rotten Tomatoes. So this has a 100% on the tomometer and an 80% on the audience score. That's what my vote is. But
I'm
I'd say it's more closer to 85% personally.
I would agree with the audience score on this. I'm
Me too.
genuinely curious how the powers that be at Rotten Tomatoes allowed this 100% rating. Like, I'm not one of those guys that are like, ugh, they said racist things in a 1950s film. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, but also, maybe we don't give it a 100% rating based on today's standards because of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm smart enough to realize that this is a sliver in time, but you know, constantly moving forward and progressing and whatnot.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh well. Well, anywho, next week is your turn before we have a little hiatus where you're going to be gone to Greece.
We don't have to have a hiatus. You can find another person to take over for me if you really need to.
Oh, we have one episode scheduled while you're gone, but I'll talk about that next week. Don't worry, I know how expendable you are.
You're so nice. All right. Let
So
me.
what's your choice?
Hmm. Don't I'll think of one. I'll think of one.
Should I put up
You know,
the
I could
Jeopardy
really
theme music? Do
wait.
do 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 do
Wait, it's
do do
October, isn't it? October 1st. Aha.
do
Let's
do
do some
do
spooky
do
shit.
do 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 do
Dude.
do.
Overlord.
You want Overlord?
Damn Skippy, I do. It's horror.
Do you want Overlord or do you want Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer?
Actually. I haven't seen Overlord, but let me see. You know what? Yeah, I pick Overlord.
Actually, I think Blake was going to do that with us in the
You just don't
future.
want to watch Overlord, do you?
I am trying to be cognizant of. You know what? Fine, Overlord. You
No,
got it.
well, no, if Blake is gonna pick it, then I don't want to. Fine, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I haven't seen that since 2016 anyway.
I've never seen it, so.
This is gonna be our wait, is this gonna be our first documentary on this channel?
Oh my fucking god.
Hey, fuck you. Yes, it is. Well,
So, you heard it here, folks. We will be doing Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter next week. And keep your eyes peeled because we will be having a bonus reel come out in the time frame of Halloween with another guest of ours that has been on previously. Comic book artist Reed Beeman has chosen a spectacular film, which will be a secret for now, but just keep your eyes open around Halloween for it.
Haha. Well,
Hey.
I got nothing else.
Okay. Well, if you guys enjoyed the show, please leave a review. The stars do matter. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at the Armchair Commanders Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate a follow, like, heart, whatever. We also have a Discord server set up, same name as our Instagram and Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel called History Prentice, where we have all of our episodes listed, as well as my own individual shenanigans in the world of history. So go ahead and check that out. If you have nothing else, until next time, I've been John,
And I'm Jack.
and we will catch you next week.
Bye.